The old valley still glowed under autumn's sun. Tova loved quiet mornings and loud breakfasts. Her chipped tusk made her easy to spot. Flint, the woolly rhino, trusted action over talk. Kero, the giant elk, worried about everything. Pip, the Arctic fox, worried about nothing. Pip stole berries from Tova's breakfast. Tova chased him around the pond. Kero warned the air smelled strange. Nobody listened until frost bit the grass. A white feather fell from the sky. Then another landed on Flint's horn. Pip tasted one and sneezed. Snow covered the valley by noon. Tova danced in it. Flint charged a snowdrift. Kero got his antlers tangled in pine. Pip laughed too hard to help. Night came colder than ever. The pond froze silent. Morning cracked with blue ice. Every breath became smoke. Tova's eyelashes sparkled white. Flint pretended the cold was nothing. Kero wore moss on his antlers. Pip burrowed into Tova's fur for warmth. Then snow grouse arrived screaming. They circled above the valley. A white wall was moving south. Flint climbed a ridge to look. Beyond the trees, the glacier shone. It looked like a frozen sea. The herd gathered in alarm. Tova wanted to wait one day. Kero wanted a map. Pip wanted lunch first. Flint wanted to leave now. The grouse knew a southern pass. Warm valleys lay beyond black hills. The choice suddenly became simple. Everyone packed what they could. Tova packed roots and berries. Flint carried firestones in a hide sack. Kero strapped herbs to his antlers. Pip packed too many snacks. Tova hugged her favorite willow tree. The march began before sunrise. Their tracks stitched the snow. At first, travel felt exciting. Pip raced ahead and back. Kero counted every hill aloud. Flint broke trail through deep snow. Tova kept the smallest animals close. Wind sharpened by midday. The sky blurred into white. The grouse flew low as guides. Ice glazed the rocks. Pip slipped under Kero's legs. Even Flint nearly fell. Tova caught him with her trunk. By dusk, they reached a frozen river. Dark water moved below the ice. Kero tested it with a stick. The stick punched through instantly. Nobody liked that answer. The grouse found thicker ice upstream. But an ice shelf hung above it. Flint led beneath the frozen ledge. Cracks whispered overhead. Pip stopped joking for once. Kero's antlers scraped the wall. Snow dust drifted down. Then the shelf groaned loudly. Flint shouted for everyone to run. Ice blocks smashed behind them. Tova lifted Pip onto her head. Kero galloped with wide eyes. The shelf collapsed seconds later. They reached the safer crossing, trembling. Flint stepped first onto thick blue ice. Tova followed more carefully than usual. Pip slid forward like a sled. Kero tried not to look down. Halfway across, he saw frozen fish. He forgot to keep moving. A sharp crack snapped the spell. The herd sprinted for the bank. Pip reached land and cheered too soon. A rim of ice broke under him. Tova hooked his tail with her trunk. Pip came out soaked and shivering. Nobody laughed for several seconds. Storm clouds swallowed the sunset. Flint chose a hollow between rocks. They built a snow shelter fast. Tova stacked branches for a roof. Kero wove grass into bedding. Pip guarded the snack pile seriously. Night buried the shelter in wind. Inside, the firestones finally sparked. Warm light softened every face. Tova admitted she missed home. Kero admitted he missed certainty. Pip admitted he missed dry fur. Flint admitted he feared the glacier. Silence made that confession heavier. At dawn, the storm had passed. Sunlight turned the world gold. Far ahead rose the black hills. Warm air drifted from beyond them. The herd found strength again. They climbed through the final pass. Snow thinned with every step. Water began singing under stone. Then green grass appeared below. A bright valley opened wide. The herd burst into relieved laughter. Pip rolled downhill into flowers. Tova trumpeted toward the sun. They had outrun the White Sea. Long before humans arrived, dinosaurs ruled a bright and peaceful valley. Every morning, T-Rex woke up feeling important, powerful, and very sleepy. Unfortunately, his tiny arms made simple morning problems surprisingly difficult. Triceratops preferred a quieter life, especially when breakfast was nearby. Above them, Pterodactyl delivered news nobody had actually asked to hear. Ankylosaurus moved so slowly. Morning nearly ended before he fully woke. The baby dinosaurs had no worries, only games, splashes, and noisy laughter. Even Parasaurolophus joined in, turning breakfast time into a strange concert. T-Rex admired himself, convinced no creature looked more impressive. Triceratops disagreed silently, and continued chewing the far more interesting leaves. Then, Pterodactyl noticed a tiny bright object high above the valley. Soon, every ancient animal stopped what it was doing and looked up. The youngest dinosaurs thought the sky was sending them a new toy. T-Rex laughed and called it nothing more than a tiny rock. But Triceratops sensed trouble as the glowing point slowly grew larger. Pterodactyl flew closer, expecting gossip, but discovered something much worse. It was a giant meteor, burning fiercely and heading straight toward Earth. Pterodactyl returned faster than ever, shouting warnings across the entire valley. The dinosaurs gathered for an emergency meeting filled with panic and confusion. Naturally, T-Rex volunteered to lead, despite having absolutely no useful plan. His first strategy was simple. Keep watching until something became obvious. Triceratops ignored him and began digging a shelter immediately. Ankylosaurus tried helping, although his tiny hole impressed nobody. Meanwhile, clever velociraptors opened a business selling leaf meteor helmets. Many frightened dinosaurs bought them, proving panic is excellent for sales. Pterodactyl began broadcasting live updates from the safest nearby rock. The meteor grew brighter, and the peaceful blue sky turned orange. Then the ground trembled. making even the water look nervous. The baby dinosaurs stopped playing and gathered closely beside their families. T-Rex kept smiling, although his shaking knees ruined the performance. Triceratops ordered everyone toward the largest cave in the valley. The evacuation quickly became a noisy parade of pushing and shouting. A giant long neck reached the entrance and immediately became completely stuck. Every dinosaur pushed together, turning rescue into an awkward group exercise. Outside, Pterodactyl saw the meteor growing larger with every passing second. Triceratops asked T-Rex for another plan with one unforgettable stare. T-Rex raised a stick and bravely challenged the meteor to battle. The entire herd answered his idea with complete and painful silence. Ankylosaurus tried throwing a small rock back toward the sky. It failed, so Pterodactyl recommended the classic strategy: run. The valley turned red as dinosaurs raced desperately toward the cave. The meteor now filled the sky, brighter than 1,000 sunsets. T-Rex sprinted on powerful legs while his tiny arms contributed nothing. Triceratops stayed behind, guiding the smallest dinosaurs towards safety. Pterodactyl flew low, acting like a very loud emergency sign. One Stegosaurus lost his lunch and nearly stopped to rescue it. The Velociraptor merchants fled while their useless helmets scattered everywhere. Cracks spread across the ground as the final seconds approached. Inside the cave, every dinosaur squeezed into whatever space remained. T-Rex tried sitting down and accidentally knocked over half the shelter. Then a blinding light exploded beyond the cave entrance. Pterodactyl peeked outside and instantly regretted being the curious one. The enormous meteor descended toward Earth with terrifying speed and power. Far away, the horizon erupted into a gigantic ball of light. A massive shockwave tore across forests, rivers, hills, and open plains. Inside the cave, everyone collapsed into one enormous dinosaur pile. Dust-covered T-Rex, proving leadership offered no protection from falling dirt. Triceratops shielded the babies while rocks shook loose above them. The roaring impact echoed through the cave like endless thunder. Then everything became dark, quiet, and frighteningly still. For one long moment, the whole planet seemed to stop breathing. T-Rex softly asked whether everyone had survived the terrible impact. One by one, small sounds confirmed that most were still alive. Ankylosaurus had somehow slept through the loudest disaster in history. Then T-Rex's stomach growled louder than anyone expected. Even in darkness, that ridiculous sound gave everyone a brief laugh. Eventually, Pterodactyl carefully approached the cave entrance to investigate. Outside, ash covered the land and smoke darkened the sky. For once, Pterodactyl had no joke, rumor, or dramatic announcement. He returned quietly, and the herd understood the news was terrible. Together, they stepped outside and entered a world they barely recognized. Gray ash drifted everywhere, hiding the valley's former colors. T-Rex covered his nose and finally stopped calling it a tiny rock. Triceratops found the plants burned, broken, and impossible to eat. The lake had turned muddy, dark, and unsafe for drinking. Cold air arrived as sunlight struggled through the dust. Pterodactyl could barely fly in the thick and unstable sky. Ankylosaurus walked into a burned tree and finally understood the disaster. T-Rex climbed a rock, but this time he did not boast. The herd gathered again, waiting for a real plan to survive. T-Rex admitted his mistake and apologized for ignoring the warning. Triceratops forgave him, because survival required teamwork, not arguments. The dinosaurs searched through ash for roots, leaves, or anything edible. One baby found a single green leaf and treated it like treasure. Yet fires still burned far away across the dark horizon. The sun became a pale circle behind endless clouds of dust. Triceratops tried eating dry plants, but they crumbled into ash. Rex realized starving herbivores meant hungry predators would follow. Exhausted, the herd rested together beside a large blackened rock. A baby dinosaur asked the question nobody wanted to answer. Triceratops offered a gentle hug, even without knowing the future. That night, no stars appeared through the heavy ash. T-Rex stayed awake, guarding the cave and thinking quietly. He remembered the bright morning when everything had seemed permanent. In memory, the valley was green, noisy, warm, and full of life. Morning returned, but only weak sunlight reached the ground. The herd woke tired, facing another cold and colorless day. Pterodactyl led them away to search for a safer home. They crossed burned forests filled with fallen trees and drifting ash. Someone found a scorched leaf helmet from the old shop. T-Rex wore it proudly, giving everyone one more tired laugh. Then Triceratops discovered a few green plants hidden behind stone. The young dinosaurs shared the leaves carefully, wasting nothing. T-Rex pushed away his own portion and fed the babies first. Triceratops smiled. Realizing the foolish leader had finally changed, the herd stayed close, using friendship as their strongest shelter. But the dusty sky darkened early, and the cold deepened. Across the planet, forests vanished and lakes became lifeless. The dinosaurs, once mighty rulers, now seemed small and vulnerable. Still, they rested together, grateful for one more night. Days passed beneath grey skies. With fewer plants each morning, food became scarce, and every journey demanded more strength. Pterodactyl flew lower, Triceratops slowed, and Ankylosaurus grew weaker. T-Rex finally learned that muscles could not defeat a changing planet. Slowly, the great age of dinosaurs approached its end. Many giant species faded away as the environment collapsed. But tiny survivors remained hidden beneath roots, rocks, and soil. Over immense time, dust cleared and life began rebuilding Earth. The dinosaurs disappeared, but their story remained beneath the ground. And if a bright dot appears again, never call it tiny.